EGM Network.
Treasure Coast Connector. Connecting residents and businesses of the Treasure Coast. And here's your host, Ellen Contreras.
Welcome to Treasure Coast Connector. I'm your host, Ellen Contreras. This episode is proudly sponsored by Libby Weissman and her team from Senior Transition Navigator and Luxury Homes of the Treasure Coast. They help seniors and their families navigate transition into senior living with many services, including downsizing and decluttering, packing and moving, relocation, home sales, and more. For a free consultation, call 772-783-2800. You can visit www.seniortransitionnavigator.com, luxuryhomesofthetreasurecoast.com. Aging, they say, is not for the faint of heart, and that is true when it comes to memory loss due to Alzheimer's or dementia. And there is an innovative facility in Vero Beach that has created an environment where seniors can thrive despite the extra challenges they're facing. Joining me in the studio today is Josh Freitas, Dr. Josh, as we'll probably call you. He is the Chief Research Officer. And Susan Micheel, she is the Education Specialist. They have a lot of great information to share. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much.
Yes, absolutely. I'm saying Dr. Josh because I know that your mom is watching, and I don't want to get a phone call to say, excuse me, you did not, introduce him correctly. Now, Josh, if it's okay, we're going to start with ladies first, All right? But first, Susan, I want to just look at the camera. My buddy Rhonda, it was supposed to be here today, and she had a snafu in the scheduling, and that is okay because she's going to be on the show again in the future, okay? Because you guys need to keep coming back because I love what you guys do. So now, before we start talking about Certus, and I hope I did say that you were from Certus Premier Memory Care. I might not have said that because I kind of flub things sometimes, but Certus Premier Care Living. And before we start talking about this amazing facility, what made you want to join the industry and work with our senior population?
Well, thank you for asking that. It actually, from a personal point of view, I came into this industry kicking and screaming. It was not my plan, but we happened to notice my mother's memory starting to fail, and she was making inappropriate decisions. So my father and I decided that we would try to understand what was happening. Because my father's a scientist, we read every book we could find, and it just made me understand through that personal experience that we have to adjust our behavior to them. And so what I ended up doing was building a support team. And I tell all the caregivers, bring as many people to the table as you need.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So from firsthand experience, you are here and the education specialist. So that is very befitting for what you do. And of course, research. You're all about research. You're a scientist guy. So how about you? What is your story about working in this industry?
Originally, I was going to school to be a music therapist, and I worked with kids with autism and loved it. Then I fell into working with a lady that played piano at a very, very big concert hall. And I got to be her music therapist, and seeing her come over and learn new things was really pivotal to me to see people can still learn with dementia.
Yeah.
And I contacted where she performed and asked if she could perform for a rehearsal. And she actually got to perform with them, and she could barely speak due to aphasia. But seeing her put the dress on with her family beside me, seeing her walk across the stage and sit down and play beautifully, it showed me that if you're in the right environment, people with dementia can flourish. And that's really, then I was totally consumed by reading everything I could and getting sucked into it. And I would say the people I learn from the most are the people with dementia themselves. And they teach me so much.
Yeah, that is wonderful. And again, people think when they hear about aging and then memory loss on top of it, they're like, oh my gosh, quality of life is really severely diminished. But that is not the case. So I would like for you to just talk about what it's like for the people that are living at Certus and what their day-to-day is? I mean, we're going to talk about amenities and other things, but just talk about the residents and what their day is like. Yeah.
Well, what's interesting about Certus and what I believe is unique is that it's very thoughtful about how we are able to fill their day. One of the things that we do when somebody first joins the community is to generate a profile based on their likes and dislikes. We call it mapping your journey. And because of that, then everyone who comes in contact with that person knows a little bit about them, can start the conversations. Other programs that we have enforces meaning and purpose to their lives with exercise or with food or with social aspects. So it really is encompassing their entire experience as a person.
Yes. And you have the ability of going to all of the different locations, not just the Vero Beach location because you're in Orlando. So you're all over the place. So what are you seeing at Certus, Vero, and other places?
For me, I love seeing when I first meet a resident, when they first move in on their first day. And then I come back maybe a month or two later and I see them again and they're a completely different person. And you see that so often is that they might have been at home, not socializing as much. And then before you know it, they're running programs and they're proud about stuff. And I even have a guy in one of the communities who says, "Hey, Josh, come here, I got to tell you something." And he kind of gives me the scoop of what's going on in the community. But it's amazing to see that his meaning and purpose came back to life. He actually runs one of the clubs. He gets to chat with people. And what I love is now when new residents move in, he's actually that mentor for them. He's like, "Let me show you around." And we can actually step away and let him take over kind of that move-in process. So for me, it's seeing people improve between those pockets of time.
Yeah, that's really nice because it's not always, especially in the earlier stages of memory loss. And what's interesting, I like, Josh, I want to say your newsletter, A Meaningful Monday. I made a little note for myself today in your newsletter. It was the fact that there are 100 different types of dementia. So I did not realize that. And when people come to you, they're at all different stages. So the earlier stages, it might be confusing for them, but they still have a lot that they can contribute.
And I always tell people there's three things if you walk away with really knowing is if you can know the type of dementia, the stage they're in, and their personality, that's a really great foundation for you to provide good dementia care.
Well, that is wonderful. And so now what I'd like to know a little bit about is, I just want to make sure, I'm forgetting a question, Susan. I'm skipping ahead. This is the time of year that the snowbirds are here, families are visiting, and, you know, we were just finishing up with the holidays. 5 minutes ago, it was Christmas. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, so here we are with, you know, the adult children in town, and then they're seeing, like you mentioned, you know, in the introduction of yourself, that you're like, wow, mom and dad, they might not be, I don't know what's going on. So what are some of the things that adult children, when they're visiting their parents, should be on the lookout for? And when is it time for maybe an intervention?
Actually, that is a very good question because we know that some of the families only see their loved ones a few times a year. So one of the things that we tell them to look out for is maybe a change in personal hygiene. Maybe they are missing appointments when you're having those conversations and you realize that they have forgotten something. Maybe they're getting lost on the way to the grocery store. Another thing that I think that they should look out for also is food in the refrigerator. Make sure that they're not eating expired food.
Yeah, sure.
Or that they're eating something that's actually beneficial. So there's a lot of things that we can help out with families and just to make them aware of.
And how about intervention? When is it time to actually step in? It must be so hard. I didn't have to deal with that. My mom had cancer, but what are your tips for that about what to do for an intervention and when and how should it be?
The one thing I really want to stress is early intervention makes a huge difference. I saw this a lot during COVID as people waited so long that by the point intervention was there, their loved one declined to a point which made it really difficult. But I find that sometimes the earlier interventions, sometimes guided with a coach or a mentor or kind of a family leader, can foster a lot of really healthy conversation to put things in place. A lot of people have something called mild cognitive impairment. It's not dementia. It's just having some cognitive loss.
Okay.
But you can still balance a checkbook. You can still do instrumental activities of daily living. And in that intervention, you can actually put things around the house like labeling things, checking things. There's actually apps now that will actually scan the refrigerator to see if anything's out of date. So there's interventions you can do earlier, but sometimes we want to shy away from the conversation. So I encourage people to lean into that conversation. No, it's not the end of life. It's just a different way of living. And try to get those safety nets in place earlier and sooner. It makes a really big difference.
Yeah. No, I like that a lot. And go right ahead,
I was just
please.
going to add one more thing, which is, again, I learned the hard way, is safety. When my mother continued to fall and we realized that she was not able to be in the home, even though we had quite a bit of care coming into the home and we were there, she still was not safe. She was still doing things. And about every month we would take a trip to the emergency room and it just became impossible to keep her safe. So that was a tipping point for us.
Okay. All right. Well, I understand. And then once they've made that transition into Certus, then the families actually can go back to the fun that they used to have. Maybe it was family game night or something. They can just now enjoy their mom and their dad and their loved ones. So I love that. But before we take a commercial break, because Cindy will make me do it, okay? she will. How can they get in touch with Certus Senior Living or Certus Memory Care, in Vero Beach?
If you go to our website, if you just type in certusseniorliving.com, there's contacts there. And obviously, I'm just going to give you my personal cell phone. If you have questions about dementia, I try to make myself available. So it's 508-294-4420. And that's my personal cell. But if you're going through something, just reach out. We'll try to help you the best we can.
Yeah, I really like that. And then to sign up for your newsletter, A Meaningful Monday. I think that the adult children should be on your newsletter.
For sure.
That's my own personal opinion. Of which I have many, Josh. I do.
We have a few, too. So we have Meaningful Monday. We're going to have Workout Wednesday. So that helps people with independence and autonomy at home to give some exercises you can do. And there's a few other weekly things that will be coming out soon to help support people. So I think it's a great way to ease into getting some knowledge.
Okay. Well, very good. And with that, we have to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Big news, Treasure Coast. Your favorite mortgage team just got even better. Introducing the same trusted faces you know and love, now with Union Home Mortgage.
Hi, this is Shannon Pohl.
Hi, this is Lucy Cranker.
And these high-producing team members bring decades of experience, unwavering honesty, and hearts of gold to every home loan. And here's the best part. Same local processing, underwriting, and appraisers you rely on. Contact Union Home Mortgage.
Visit us online at shannonCpohl.com
and lucycranker.com.
Vendors, come be a part of the Downtown Country Hoedown, a big old gathering of folks with a hankering for what you're selling. We've got space for you, vendors. We've got live country music that'll have you scooting your boots on the street, plus midway games, a mechanical bull, line dancing, beer, food, contests, and prizes. All we're missing is you. Vendors, join us at the Downtown Country Hoedown, Friday, January 31st in downtown Vero Beach. Contact Evergreen Media at egreenmedia.com.
At Sunshine Furniture, our 35,000 square foot showroom is filled with the largest selection of in-stock coastal furniture on the Treasure Coast. Dining and bedroom sets, occasional tables, sofas, sleeper sofas, love seats and chairs in all the latest styles and colors from Tommy Bahama, Lexington, Hooker, Riverside, Universal, Four Seasons, Braxton Color, and Capri. We're the outdoor furniture experts and have hundreds of styles of any patio furniture you need, including a gallery of Berlin Gardens and Bollywood. We specialize in fire pits, outdoor rugs, umbrellas, and replacement cushions. Sunshine Furniture, 1295 US 1 in the Publix Plaza, Vero Beach. Family owned and operated since 1991. Don't forget to visit our outlet store directly across the street, filled with lots of name brand closeouts and sale items. Visit our website at sunshinefurniturecasual.com.
Sunshine Furniture, the best in every way. Ooh, have a sunshine day. Sunshine.
Welcome back to Treasure Coast Connector. I'm your host, Ellen Contreras. I'm here with Josh Freitas and Susan Micheel of Certus Premier Memory Care. We're going to go right back into this conversation. And we were talking about the part of Certus from the perspective of the people that are living there and how much fun they're having. And during the commercial break, you even mentioned that it almost feels like this college campus, but for seniors, that they have access to fun things and continuing education. And it's almost like a college dorm situation. I feel like when I'm in that section, like when you first walk in, because it's secure, there's that lovely lady. Oh my goodness, what's her
Janice.
name? Janice. Oh, she's so sweet. And then when she checks you in, then you're allowed to go into the other section where I feel like I'm almost in Europe on a street in Europe. It is such a cool place. And that's, of course, where we have the parties and Chef Mike and everything. Rhonda, I love your parties. I'm just saying. Have you been to a Rhonda party?
I've been to a Rhonda, but I've been to a Certus, so the food is fantastic.
Yes, yes. The food is very good. But when Rhonda puts a party together, wow, everybody has a good time. I'm just saying. Okay. So now what I'd like to have you talk about are these very unique, I guess, innovations for the people that have memory loss. So describe, is it okay if we start with Josh right now?
Absolutely.
So we're going to start with you. I'm throwing you, the spotlight is on
For
you
sure.
now. So yeah, tell us about what people can expect in the common areas and where the people are actually living, or how you set things up for them.
Yeah, so we took a research perspective of what else has been done out there, and we created a town center, so a destination for people to go to. And then we also have the neighborhoods that's more of a home-like feel. So it allows people to have that neurodiversity of, yes, I'm living throughout my day and I might be forgetting, but my body remembers the differences throughout the day. I'm walking more, I'm expanding more. But depending on where you are, we have a movie theater, we have a private dining room, we have a hair salon, a gym, where everybody's trained to work with the person with dementia, so that it's not as much as we're being caregivers, but we're almost pedestrians in a way, and just we're around. And if you need us, we jump in as needed. And this specific things like selecting of fish tanks versus fireplaces and the color plates we use and the uniform colors, that were all intentionally to help that person with dementia.
Yeah, green. As a matter of fact, you're wearing the Certus green.
Yes, I am.
I made that connection just now. I'm not smarter than a fifth grader, but yes, because I've been there, and the people that work there are wearing very nice green shirts. Why are they wearing the green shirts?
Actually, Susan wore her green shirt for this reason today, so I'll let her actually take over the green shirt.
So a couple of different things. One is that we want to make sure that everyone that's there identifies the type of person. So if they need a caregiver, they're looking for a specific color, and that is this color, lime green. It is the last color that somebody is able to see as their dementia progresses.
Wow. Okay. And the plates, I know the plates are red. Why are the plates
Stimulates
red?
appetite by 33%. And what's kind of cool too is we talk a lot about eating patterns of, like, people with dementia oftentimes will eat less. It's giving them good, nutritious food that fills that body on a red plate so that they're getting more of those proteins and fibers and helping with the microbiome to really help. But we also use dark blue plates where part of the disease, people might say, I want more food, or they're forgetting to eat. Dark blue will suppress appetite up to 26%. So now you have that variable that you can actually manage behind the scenes, but not actually make somebody feel uncomfortable. I see this a lot. Somebody's overeating. We give them a small plate or small portions. That says, hey, I'm not getting as much food. Versus just putting on a dark blue plate, you're getting the same amount. So there's not feeling anything like you can't eat anymore.
Yeah. I like that a lot. And so now, of course, you mentioned that there's all of these different enrichment activities within, the campus, within the facility, or I shouldn't say facility. I like to say community. It's much nicer, right? But what about field trips? What about going outside of Certus? What happens in that event?
Yeah, so we have a bus that we specifically created for dementia. It actually doesn't use black flooring because research actually shows in public transportation, for example, if you have black floors, people with dementia often won't step into that bus. So we did gray flooring, And then we did color contrast seats, so it's welcoming. Also on our bus on the side doesn't say memory care on the side you get into the bus. You don't want that person to say, oh, I'm getting on a memory care bus. So on the other sides it does. But they go out a minimum of twice a week, so they're going out and actually exploring what that neighborhood is like. We try to do more, and that could be driving the bus in a parade and throwing candy out, or what my favorite is a camping trip. Yes, we're not going to bring residents camping all the time, but we might bring the bus to a campground, let our residents experience what a campfire is like again. Even people in later stages to smell that s'more, chat with the family, or the grandkids come and they go on a fishing trip. It's to try to instill their routines of everyday living and make it something special.
Very nice, very nice. And then what about what it's like when someone, I guess, it starts with a tour, right? So if someone is interested, right, explain what it's like, the process of investigating and checking out Certus. And then if they say, we're ready, what is the move-in process like?
I always say come visit. We have other resources than just moving in. So if it's questions about home and at-home assessment or where your loved one is, come just stop by.
Okay.
But the process is really, you'll know the process because a lot of times it's that breaking point. I always encourage people before you get to that breaking point, start looking beforehand. But that process is have things you can bring with you for that move-in. So familiar sheets, familiar bed, familiar furniture, familiar pictures, that can actually help with that transition process quite a bit. So start preparing now of what things do you notice your loved one doesn't want to live without in their room, and start putting those things to the side. But just reach out and you'll know the time. When it's time, it's time. But just reach out for resources. You should not have to kind of navigate it alone.
Yeah, very good. And what would you like to add to that?
Well, I'd like to add the actual roadmap of bringing somebody in. It touches on each of the different functional areas. So the families get to meet, the person doing the enrichment, the activities. They get to meet Chef Michael, and to see that and to really understand that it is a community and everybody there is for the same purpose of helping enrich their loved one's life.
Yeah, there's another lady that I know from my networking, and at a Rhonda party when she first started with you guys. I call it a Rhonda party because honestly, Cindy, it's a lot of fun. And so I saw this other lady. I don't want to mention names, but I saw this other lady, and she said, "Oh, my sister recently moved in, and she said my sister thinks that she works here as part of the staff." Isn't that cute?
That's
I love
wonderful.
that. Yeah. So I think that the people that work there go and do, like they actually extend themselves to say, well, if you think that you're working with me, then yep, we're coworkers, right? I think that's wonderful. Oh, we have 1 minute left. So with 30 seconds, what would you like to say before we wrap up?
Well, since we're part of the Certus Institute, part of our charter is to educate people in the community, to have things like restaurants or libraries or shopping be open to people with cognitive issues like dementia.
Okay.
So really, we want to educate everyone out in the Vero Beach, Indian River County community.
Yeah, I love that. And how about you? What would you like to?
For me, it's we have an education team, but we all volunteer on Wednesdays. So if you ever have questions about aging, just reach out. Myself and our whole team volunteer every Wednesday from 12 to 1. But we also have an aging summit coming up this year that we're going to open our doors for education, CEU events, professional families. That's going to be coming up in April. So we invite everybody just to come stop by and get education. It'll just be an event for you to soak up and just kind of see everything that's out there.
Yeah, I love that so much. And what is the website again, your website?
CertusSeniorLiving.com.
Okay, perfect. And actually, this is a really good segue into, because Cindy said I have 60 seconds and then we have to stop talking. So sad, because we can go on for another hour. But I want to say that this episode is proudly sponsored by Libby Weissman and her team at Senior Transition Navigator and Luxury Homes of the Treasure Coast. Libby herself is a senior, and she knows firsthand how to help the adult children and their families with that senior living transition. And you can call her at 772-783-2800. You can visit seniortransitionnavigator.com, luxuryhomesofthetreasurecoast.com. She will help you with every facet. And with that, thank you so very much for being here. My name is Ellen Contreras, host of Treasure Coast Connector. Until next week, I miss you already.